to f you up.
Big Worm ain't gonna do a goddamn thing, man. He needs some young meat. Mr. Parker ain't in there right, man.
Oh, she know what she doing with them low-ass shorts on.
Ice Cube is $70 million rich and has been with the same woman for 32 years. Everyone thinks he sold out, leaving rap for comedy and love. But he was executing the most ruthless business strategy he learned from a memoir and 3 legendary directors most rappers have never heard of. But how did a failed action hero become irreplaceable in Hollywood? And what marriage secret explains every career move he's made since 1989? Join us to find out what Ice Cube's career secrets are. $70 million formula that made critics look stupid. For years, critics brushed off Ice Cube's films as small hood movies, but behind the scenes, he was running one of the smartest, most profitable setups in Hollywood. Cube Vision consistently pulled in around $70 million on budgets of about $23 million, a return most studios can only fantasize about. Yet mainstream outlets kept treating his catalog like it didn't matter. One noisy piece even compared his post-Friday work to Dr. Dre's headphone business, completely missing the strategy Ice Cube was quietly executing. What never made headlines is how that strategy started, with a failure big enough to end a career. When Ghosts of Mars bombed in 2001,
Move now. Working over at the Fox no more?
Yeah, I get a discount on clothes and shit. You like?
Ice Cube found himself at a turning point. The movie had originally been developed as Escape from Mars, a follow-up to John Carpenter's Escape from New York, with Ice Cube stepping into a role modeled after Kurt Russell's iconic Snake Plissken. It had the pedigree, the director, and the brand recognition, and it still fell flat. Ice Cube later blamed the lackluster budget and weak effects. But the real lesson went deeper. Instead of chasing another hit or waiting for a studio executive to hand him a second chance, Ice Cube did something most people in his position never think to do. He slowed down and started analyzing how the business actually worked. He dug into the economics of filmmaking, looking past the glamour to understand where the real money moved and who actually controlled it. What he found was a system built on oversized budgets, endless studio oversight, and back-end agreements so tangled that even a successful movie didn't always guarantee a payday. Worst of all, one poorly timed flop had the power to erase years of progress. Ice Cube realized that the traditional studio machine
You look like you selling rocks.
Trey, you be slanging that shit?
wasn't designed to protect artists like him. It was designed to keep them dependent. So instead of accepting those rules, he wrote his own. He shifted his focus towards smaller, smarter productions, where he could control the costs, call the shots, and own the outcomes. By stepping outside the standard Hollywood playbook, Ice Cube built an entirely new model, one where he wasn't at the mercy of the system, but the architect of his own success. He pivoted to smaller budgets where he controlled the vision, protected the profits, and focused on an audience Hollywood largely ignored: Black families and communities who wanted stories about everyday life instead of trauma-centered narratives. Working lean meant no interference and no financial chaos, just consistent, reliable returns. Cube Vision became a quiet powerhouse. While Tyler Perry often received more public credit for serving similar audiences, Ice Cube's model was more streamlined and just as impactful. His films created steady work for Black actors, writers, and crews, and franchises like Friday and Barbershop helped launch careers for talents like Chris Tucker,
Oh, see that shit?
It's monster fuck.
I didn't even get my turn, man.
Come on, man, fix that shit, man.
Bernie Mac, and Michael Clark Duncan. These were self-sustaining economic ecosystems. In contrast, Ice-T took almost any role that came his way after New Jack City, often ending up in straight-to-DVD territory. Ice Cube refused that approach. He treated filmmaking like a long-term architectural plan, taking cues from Clint Eastwood's disciplined, director-focused style. The man once feared for his music and street persona became a master strategist, disguising a high-level business operation behind films critics dismissed as lightweight. While they saw safe movies, Ice Cube was executing a calculated, profitable blueprint that uplifted his community and outperformed what major studios could do with twice the money. His outsider status didn't limit him. It became the engine that powered a decades-long business empire. Since he made making money really that straightforward, how and why did Ice Cube manage to keep his personal life steady while so many other rappers saw theirs fall apart? 32-year marriage rule revealed on Cam Newton's podcast. During his appearance on Cam Newton's Funky Friday podcast, Ice Cube offered a rare look into the foundation of his 32-year marriage to Kimberly Woodruff. What he shared in wisdom revealed the mindset that has shaped nearly every major choice he's made. "We want to be married. You gotta want it," he said simply. "I don't want nobody to have my woman. She's mine, and I'm hers." Then he laid out the principle that has guided him for decades. Not every day will feel perfect, but what matters is whether you're truly committed to being a family. To him, love thrives when both people are willing to give their time, energy, and care, ideally to someone they genuinely want to give to.
More.
The most striking moment came when Ice Cube talked about a conversation he had with Kimberly 20 years into their marriage. He asked her a hypothetical. If he proposed again right then, would her answer still be yes? She said it would. Ice Cube explained why he had earned 20 years of good faith. That simple phrase reveals his entire approach. While much of the rap world chased new thrill after new thrill, Ice Cube was quietly investing in trust, letting it grow the way compound interest builds wealth. Their origin story shows how intentional he was from the beginning. In 2022, he reflected on the first time he saw her. "Something went through my head that said, either that could be your woman, or that should be your woman." But Kimberly didn't feel the same way. She was taken and wasn't interested. Many men would have turned bitter or gone looking for an easier yes. Ice Cube didn't. He waited. When they met again 6 months later, the timing was right, and this time she felt his energy. They finally connected. By 1991, Ice Cube knew he wanted to propose. He chose a moment close to her birthday and made it special. He bought her a BMW, placed it perfectly, and left the engagement ring on the front seat. Seeing the ring turned the moment into something unforgettable. Ice Cube said he was overwhelmed with happiness, not just because she accepted,
And this is my other son, Darren.
Hello, Darren.
but because he knew he was starting a life with someone who would shape everything he would become. He has repeatedly credited her as a direct force behind his career achievements. Years later, at his Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony, surrounded by the icons who helped define his career, Ice Cube singled out his wife. He called her his homegirl, muse, partner, and confidant, praising her as an incredible mother and the steady presence behind their family of 5 children. Hollywood pushes the stereotype that rappers live in chaos, breakups, scandals, and downfall. Ice Cube rejected all of that. The same discipline he applied to filmmaking and business, he applied to his marriage. Show up, be consistent, build trust, and stay committed even when it's difficult. That stability didn't just coexist with his success, it made it possible. While others battled turmoil, Ice Cube had a home base strong enough to let him take risks. It became his quiet, unbeatable advantage. But where did Ice Cube develop this level of strategic thinking? Was he simply born with it? Or did someone show him how to survive an industry that usually pushes artists into short-term wins and long-term losses? 3 directors taught him what film school couldn't. After John Singleton cast Ice Cube in Boys and the Hood in 1991, Ice Cube didn't treat Hollywood like a quick payday. Instead of drifting through roles the way many rappers turned actors did, he approached the industry like a student. He didn't enroll in film school. He learned directly from some of the most skilled directors in the business, absorbing lessons that would later shape Ice Cube vision. His first mentor was Walter Hill, the filmmaker behind The Warriors, The Driver, and 48 Hours. Hill brought Ice Cube into Trespass in 1992, a film adapted from a script written years earlier by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. Hill reframed the story as a modern twist on a Jack London tale, grounded in racial tension and moral conflict. Ice Cube played opposite Ice-T in a street-level spin on The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. From Hill, he learned how to build tension through character conflict and tight storytelling. Hill wasted nothing. Every scene had a purpose. Ice Cube paid attention to how he shaped action, used the environment to escalate pressure, and guided actors to convey threat without overacting. These were practical techniques you only pick up by watching a seasoned director work. His second major teacher was John Carpenter, the horror and sci-fi icon responsible for Halloween, The Thing, and Escape from New York. Carpenter cast him in Ghosts of Mars in 2001, originally conceived as Escape from Mars, a sequel to the Snake Plissken saga. Ice Cube stepped into a role spiritually connected to Kurt Russell's legendary anti-hero. The movie ultimately flopped, and Ice Cube has distanced himself from it, citing the limited budget. But the experience was still transformative. Carpenter showed him the inner workings of genre filmmaking, how to meet or upend audience expectations, how tone and atmosphere create tension, and where special effects fit into the equation. The failure itself delivered a crucial insight. Large-scale effects require large budgets, and if you can't afford them, you shouldn't chase them. That realization directly influenced Ice Cube's decision to keep his own films smaller, more character-driven, and financially controlled.
Sorry, Lori, time's
Sorry,
up.
Julian.
Too bad. We've got some nice parting gifts for you, though. Let's get...
The third mentor was David O. Russell, who cast Ice Cube in Three Kings alongside George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg. This was Ice Cube's window into prestige filmmaking, movies with political themes, complex characters, and award season aspirations. Watching Clooney and Wahlberg taught him how top-tier actors command a scene with subtlety rather than theatrics. Russell's intensity demonstrated the level of precision demanded on elite film sets. Ice Cube also got a chance to work with Pam Grier on Ghosts of Mars, a direct connection to the blaxploitation films he referenced throughout his early music. Collaborating with one of that era's defining stars linked him to a cinematic tradition he deeply respected. Meanwhile, Ice Cube was developing his own projects. Singleton encouraged him to try writing, which eventually led to Friday, a film that took on a life of its own, culturally. That success emboldened him to write and direct The Players Club, giving him hands-on experience with budgeting, crew management, and production logistics. By the time he founded Cube Vision in 1998, he wasn't guessing. He had collected a decade's worth of instruction from Hill, Carpenter, Russell, and Grier, and combined it with his own writing, directing, and producing experience. He understood the story, audience needs, and most importantly, how to run a tight, efficient production. But all of that hard-earned knowledge didn't save him when he tried to reinvent himself as an action hero. So how will he take that setback and turn it into the most financially successful stretch of his career? Jerry Lewis's memoir killed his action hero career on purpose. When 3005 State of the Union arrived in 2005, Ice Cube stepped into a role previously held by Vin Diesel, taking over a young franchise that had already proven successful. The cultural symbolism wasn't subtle. Roger Ebert pointed it out himself. After years of black characters being relegated to side roles or comic relief in action films, Ice Cube was finally positioned as the lead. His character, Darius Stone, represented a shift. An action hero who didn't need a white co-star to legitimize him.
Say, D, why don't you go to the store for me, man? Get some cornmeal. Nigga, I ain't the one she told to go get it. Show wife, you go get the shit.
Teamed with Samuel L. Jackson, Ice Cube seemed poised for a breakthrough. Jackson brought veteran action credibility, and Ice Cube had the toughness and presence to match. On paper, the duo should have worked, but audiences didn't respond. The box office was lackluster, and any hope of building a multi-film series around Darius Stone dissolved. Ice Cube's next attempt, Torque, performed even worse, effectively closing the door on his action star ambitions. For many actors, this would have been catastrophic. Action franchises can define careers and create massive wealth. Ice Cube had a shot at what made stars like The Rock, Vin Diesel, and Jason Statham household names, and it slipped away. Yet Ice Cube didn't panic or chase another blockbuster audition. Instead, he made a move that looked like retreat. He shifted into playing the straight man in comedy pairings. To critics, this seemed like a downgrade. Action heroes are aspirational. Straight men are seen as static and bland. Reviewers later accused Ice Cube of looking checked out in films like Ride Along. What they failed to understand was that Ice Cube had adopted a deliberate strategy he had been studying. In Jerry Lewis's memoir, Lewis spent pages praising Dean Martin, the partner whose thankless job was to stay cool and grounded while Lewis delivered the wild antics. Martin didn't need to be flashy. His steady presence made the comedy work. Without him, Lewis admitted, the jokes would collapse under their own chaos. Ice Cube understood the power in that subtlety. The straight man doesn't need big moments. He needs composure. He is the anchor, the one who makes the audience feel the comedy instead of just watching it. The humor comes from his reactions, his restraint, his timing. Ice Cube spent the next decade perfecting this role. Whether opposite Chris Tucker, Mike Epps, Tracy Morgan, or Kevin Hart, Ice Cube held the center. His deadpan stare could outshine a co-star's loudest punchline. Far from disengaged, he was controlling the rhythm. The numbers proved his instincts right. Ride Along raked in more than $200 million across 2 movies. Barbershop grew into a beloved trilogy. Friday became a cultural landmark. These films didn't chase global spectacle. They connected with the communities Hollywood often ignored, and they produced consistent profits without bloated budgets. Ice Cube wasn't trying to become the next Vin Diesel. He was drawing from a different lineage. Films like Uptown Saturday Night and Let's Do It Again. Movies centered on black joy, community, and humanity. He evolved from the firebrand who wrote F.K. the Police into an architect of warm, grounded black storytelling. This wasn't shrinking his ambitions. It was refining them.
Ain't nobody playing but you. You walk up and down the street all day playing.
In comedy duos, the wild guy can be swapped out, but the straight man, the one who holds everything together, is irreplaceable once he's mastered the craft. Ice Cube understood that, and he built an empire on it. If Ice Cube had already unlocked the key parts of his career, then why did he virtually vanish from music for more than 10 years? What project was so important that it demanded absolute quiet from someone who built his legacy by speaking loudly and directly? 2024 tour announcement proves. He planned this. All along, after more than a decade off the road, Ice Cube's 2024 announcement of Truth to Power 4 Decades of Attitude felt more like a crowning moment. He teased the tour as a large-scale production unlike anything he had attempted before, with major arenas on the schedule and VIP packages that offered fans the kind of access they'd been waiting years for. The timing made it clear this move wasn't spontaneous. It was the next step in a plan he'd been shaping quietly for a long time. His 2024 album, Man Down, marked his official return to music, but it didn't arrive as a grasp for relevance. It dropped alongside news of new entries in both the Friday and Ride Along franchises, signaling that music, film, and touring were all being activated at once. Ice Cube was engineering a moment, not drifting into one. Adding to that momentum was his Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony. The event gathered figures from every chapter of his life: NWA members, longtime collaborators, film stars, and hip-hop legends who'd walked similar paths. WC's tribute reframed Ice Cube not just as a rapper or actor, but as someone who pushed against limits and reshaped how people thought about their own possibilities. Ice Cube used the moment to acknowledge the people who kept him grounded: his wife, Kimberly, and their children, and to thank fans who had supported him even when his projects were polarizing. He reminded everyone that his work has always been about honesty and understanding, not empty entertainment. His 2025 tour announcement also lined up with the 35th anniversary of America's Most Wanted, the album that launched him into solo stardom after the messy breakup with NWA. That project, recorded with the Bomb Squad in New York, cemented his voice as one of the sharpest in hip-hop. It went platinum within a month and remains a cornerstone of his legacy.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, baby.
How you doing?
Hi.
Everything that followed, film roles, producing, and cultural influence can be traced back to that moment of reinvention. The tour, then, isn't nostalgia. It's a full-circle moment. While many artists from his era have faded, Ice Cube is filling arenas with a production built from everything he's learned across music and film. It reflects the same attitude he showed at the 2016 Grammys when he joked about leaving early. He never needed outside approval. He built his own platform. Truth to Power is simply Ice Cube operating on his own terms, celebrating 4 decades of work, growth, and independence. It's a victory lap from someone who mastered the long game long before anyone realized what he was doing. If Ice Cube had never walked away from NWA and skipped launching his solo career, how different would hip-hop and even black filmmaking look today? By the time Ice Cube hit 47, he had already conquered music, movies, and business. Yet he's kept unusually quiet about what comes next. So, which industry is he preparing to step into now? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.